Everyone who works gets a pay stub each payday, whether it's a paper stub attached to a check or direct deposit advice, or as information that can be accessed online in one way or another. Most workers are less than happy that their net pay is so much less than their gross pay. But many people don't know how this becomes this. In this video, I'm going to try to clear that up for you. I'm the Task Geek, and here is your pay stub oversimplified. There is a lot that can go toward reducing your gross pay to your net pay. Taxes are the most obvious things that come to mind, but there are also deductions for insurance and retirement savings. In addition, there can be deductions for such things as union dues, uniforms, charitable contributions, and, unfortunately for some people, garnishments for delinquent debts or back taxes. Let's take a look at a typical worker's pay stub and show where each figure comes from and show how her gross pay becomes her net pay. Meet Marta. She works as a production specialist at an hourly rate of $25.45, which puts her at just about the median annual salary for an American worker. She is married with no children, and her husband also works, earning just about the same as her. She, like most Americans, is paid every 2 weeks. She has $62.75 deducted from each paycheck for medical and dental insurance. She diverts 5% of her wages into a traditional 401k plan and an additional 3% into the company's Roth 401k plan. And Marta has a $10 contribution to the United Way deducted from each paycheck. Here is Marta's most recent pay stub. Let's look at each section carefully. The top part is self-explanatory. You'll find Marta's name, address, redacted social security number, the pay period, and the pay date. The earnings section shows how her gross pay was calculated. Marta worked 80 regular hours over the 2 weeks, plus 2.5 hours of overtime, giving her a gross pay of $2,131.45. Earnings for the current pay period and for the current year to date are given. Included in her year-to-date totals, but not in her current total, is 40 hours of vacation pay she took earlier in the year and 24 hours of holiday pay for the 3 holidays so far this year. Now let's look at Marta's tax deductions. Deductions fall into 3 broad categories: pre-tax deductions, tax withholding, and after-tax deductions. Pre-tax deductions reduce the amount of Marta's earnings subject to taxes, which in her case are her health and dental insurance premiums and her traditional 401k deferral. Deductions for health, dental, and vision insurance premiums are not subject to either Social Security and Medicare taxes or income taxes. Marta's 401k contribution of $103.43 is subject to Social Security and Medicare tax, but not income tax, which is why your year-to-date earnings on your last pay stub of the year may not equal Box 1 on your W-2 for that year. There are 4 tax deductions on her pay stub: Social Security tax, Medicare tax, federal income tax, and since Marta lives and works in Nebraska, state income tax. Some states, noted below, have an additional tax deduction for a state temporary disability insurance fund, and some cities and localities also assess income taxes. Subtracting her health and dental insurance premiums from her gross pay leaves $2,072.70 subject to Social Security and Medicare tax. 6.2% of this figure is Marta's Social Security tax deduction of $128.65, and 1.45% of that amount is her Medicare tax deduction of $30. Taking into account both Marta's health and dental insurance deduction and traditional 401k deferral leaves just $1,965.27 subject to income tax withholding. Here is Marta's W-4 form. On it, she indicates she is married, and since her husband also works and has similar earnings, she checked box 2C to account for any additional taxes from combining her income with her husband's. You can learn more about how to properly fill out a W-4 by clicking the card above or the links in the description. Consulting the table from IRS publication 15T arrives at a federal income tax withholding amount of $164. Nebraska has its own income tax. From the Nebraska Income Tax Withholding Wage Bracket Table, we get state withholding of $59.97. After pre-tax deduction and taxes have been withheld, there are 2 additional after-tax deductions. Marta's Roth 401k deferral of $63.94 and her $10 United Way contribution. After taking all of these deductions into account, Marta's net pay comes to $1,508.71. All figures on the pay stub show both current and year-to-date amounts. Year-to-date amounts can be an important tax and retirement savings planning tool. One of the biggest financial mistakes people make is ignoring their pay stubs. Smart people look at their pay stubs every pay period and briefly check them for accuracy. Every 3 to 6 months, it's a good idea to spend a bit more time with your pay stub, looking at the year-to-date amounts for income tax withholding and making sure it's adequate to cover any potential tax liability. At this point, it should no longer be a mystery as to how your gross pay becomes your net pay. On your next pay stub, try doing the analysis we did with Marta's stub and see if you come up with the same net pay your employer did. To help you with that task, there are links to additional information and resources in the video description. Please like the video if you found it informative, and subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video with anyone else who would find it useful. And as always, your questions, comments, and suggestions are always welcome in the comment space below. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with more of your taxes and finances oversimplified.